This is the many-rooted time, as some distance as they may be nervous, I just ignored it. I missed the closeness of a target audience, of a live audience. In 1977, Elvis left at the back of private notes that bowled over even his closest friends. His final writings screen a person obsessed with demise, paranoid about assassination, and desperately attempting to find which means through numerology. But the most disturbing discovery? He desired a desperate plan to have his body frozen after dying. Today we are exposing the hidden thoughts of a legend who knew his stop was coming. Elvis Presley turned into born on January 8, 1935, in a small house in Tupelo, Mississippi. He had a dual brother, Jesse Garin, but Jesse was stillborn. This loss stayed with Elvis, and he often mentioned feeling linked to his twin. Elvis's own family became negative, and his father Vernon worked odd jobs. At one point, Vernon went to jail for forging a take a look at whilst Elvis was handiest, 3 years old. Despite the struggles, the Presleys were close and loving. When Elvis became 11, he got a guitar as a present. He didn't have training and learned to play via looking and listening to others. That guitar was the start of the whole thing. In 1948, while Elvis turned into 13, his own family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, searching out a better lifestyles. Memphis was a big exchange and might shape Elvis's song. He discovered blues song on Beale Street, a well-known spot for African-American musicians. At college, Elvis became shy, however, and began bringing his guitar and making a song at lunch. Some children laughed at him, however, others appreciated it. He even gained a faculty skills show, his first flavor of achievement. Elvis's tune became different because it blended such a lot of styles. He grew up in church, and gospel music had a big effect on him. He loved United States track too, and when he heard the electricity of rhythm and blues, it all came collectively. He didn't just copy these styles, he blended them into something new. His track, That's All Right, is a superb instance. It became a blues song, however, Elvis added his voice and style, blending blues and UD888 in a way no one had heard earlier than Elvis. People loved it. Elvis's Large Destroy came about on July 5, 1954, at Sun Studio in Memphis. He changed into there with guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black, but not anything changed into operating. Then Elvis started messing around with That's All Right, a blues track. Scotty and Bill joined in, and Sam Phillips, the studio owner, knew he had something unique. They recorded the track Speedy, and it have become magic. Elvis' voice, full of power and feeling, brought the track to lifestyles. When That's All Right turned into performed at the radio, people went crazy. The telephone strains lit up, and everybody desired to know who this new singer turned into. Elvis was fearful about how human beings would react, but the song had become successful in Memphis. It failed to sell a big quantity at the beginning, however. It added a brand new sound that were given human beings speak me. It also commenced breaking down the racial obstacles in track, blending patterns from black and white artists. Elvis's performances soon have become a huge deal, but they have been also arguable. In 1956, he achieved Hound Dog on the Milton Berle Show and moved his hips in a manner that greatly surprised adults. Critics known as it beside the point, and a few labeled him Elvis the Pelvis. But teens loved it. To calm things down, some other display dressed him in a tuxedo and had him sing to a basset hound. Even so, Elvis couldn't be stopped. His enthusiasm grew, and so did the backlash. When Elvis seemed on the Ed Sullivan Show, it became a massive second. The display didn't want to show his hip movements in order that they most effective filmed him from the waist up. But this failed to prevent his upward thrust. The show brought in hundreds of thousands of visitors, and Elvis became a countrywide big name. Even Ed Sullivan, who was hesitant at first, referred to as him a high-quality boy. By then, Elvis wasn't just a singer, he changed into a phenomenon. Elvis Presley's big ruin came in 1955, when his agreement became bought to RCA Victor for $40, a document amount at the time. This deal was a turning point in his existence and marked the start of his upward push to repute. RCA Quick were given Elvis into the studio on January 10, 1956, in which he recorded Heartbreak Hotel. The song turned into launched only some weeks later, on January 27, 1956. At first, critics weren't certain what to make of it. However, enthusiasts cherished it. The music shot to primary on the Billboard charts in April and stayed there for 8 weeks. It also had become a hit at the country and western and R&B charts, proving that Elvis's song may want to reach all kinds of listeners. Elvis failed to prevent there. His first RCA album, Elvis Presley, came out in March 1956 and became an instantaneous achievement. It became the primary rock and roll album to attain primary, staying at the pinnacle. By April, it had already earned over $1 million. That identical 12 months, Elvis had 5 songs hit #1, which include Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog, which stayed at the pinnacle for 11 weeks, a file that lasted for decades. By the stop of 1956, Elvis had bought tens of millions of singles and albums. People commenced calling him the king of rock and roll, a name that stuck with him for all time. Elvis's fame grew even faster, way to TV. His first massive TV appearance was on Degree's show in January 1956. He completed 6 instances on the display, and every overall performance made him greater well-known. But it was his appearances at the Milton Berle show that actually got human beings speak me. In April, Elvis sang Heartbreak Hotel to a target audience of 40 million human beings. In June, he performed Hound Dog, with hip movements that greatly surprised a few viewers. This performance earned him the nickname Elvis the Pelvis, and at the same time as it disappointed some humans, it made others love him even more. Elvis then appeared on the Steve Allen display in July, in which he sang Hound Dog to a basset hound whilst carrying a tuxedo. Even with this unusual setup, the display became a massive achievement, watched by using 60 million human beings. Later that year, Elvis performed on The Ed Sullivan Show, despite the fact that Sullivan had as soon as stated he wouldn't feature him. His first look on the show, in September 1956, drew 60 million viewers, an 82% of everyone watching TV that nighttime. During his closing performance at the show, cameras best filmed him from the waist up to keep away from showing his hip moves. These TV appearances made Elvis a family call and solidified his region as a cultural icon. Elvis also became a movie superstar in 1956 with his first movie, Love Me Tender. The film turned into firstly known as the Reno Brothers, but the call became modified to In Shape, Elvis's hit track. Elvis became at the beginning supposed to have a small role, but his reputation turned into so large that his element turned into elevated. The film premiered in November and became a large container office hit, earning 9 million greenbacks. Even though critics were not impressed, fanatics loved seeing Elvis on the huge display screen, and this set the tone for the rest of his film profession, where tune and acting got here together. In 1958, Elvis joined the Army, which changed into a large second for him and his enthusiasts. On March 24th, he mentioned for responsibility and determined to function a regular soldier in preference to accepting unique treatment due to his fame. He went via primary education in Texas and was later dispatched to Germany. While stationed there, Elvis met Priscilla Bolu, who was just 14 at the time. Despite their age distinction, they commenced a courting that might later cause marriage. Elvis's time within the military wasn't clean. His mom, Gladys, handed away at the same time as he turned into an education, and this deeply affected him. He also started using amphetamines, which could later cause him problems. His supervisor, Colonel Parker, kept his song in the highlight by using liberating formerly recorded songs, even as Elvis became away. Even all through his provider, Elvis had top hits, showing that his reputation did not fade. One of the most powerful moments in Elvis's career got here in 1968, along with his comeback special. After years of focusing on films, Elvis desired to remind the world why he became a star. Wearing a black leather-based outfit, he achieved stay in the front of a Target market, displaying his power and aura. The show ended with a heartfelt song, "If I Can Dream," inspired via the difficult instances in America. The unique turned into a large fulfillment, watched by means of hundreds of thousands, and it reignited Elvis's passion for performing. Elvis Presley's time in Las Vegas commenced a new chapter in his lifestyles and profession. On July 31, 1969, he started out performing at the International Hotel, which later became the Las Vegas Hilton. He performed 636 bought-outs, suggests over 7 years, turning himself into the king of Las Vegas entertainment. The International Hotel, which opened simply weeks in advance on July 2, 1969, was the biggest and tallest hotel in Nevada at the time, with 1,519 rooms. Kirk Kerkorian, the proprietor, wanted to make a large splash, so he booked Barbra Streisand and Elvis for the grand establishing. Elvis's first 4 weeks had been such a fulfillment that the hotel signed him for 2-month lengthy indicates every 12 months for 5 years. Elvis completed 2 suggests each night, one at 8 p.m. and every other at midnight. This was a huge trade from his first Las Vegas performances in 1,956 dots. Now he became the primary attraction, prevailing over the gang with his effective voice, self-assurance, and strength on stage. During those years, Elvis lived in a big 5-0 rectangular-foot suite at the 30th ground of the lodge. This suite was later renamed the Elvis Presley Suite and became part of his legend.